It's Friday morning, the 5th of January 2024, and I decided I would do a quick audio recording. Not for any particular reason. I just feel a strange dearth of doing something with respect to writing a blog or writing fiction or something in the morning. Not that I have any actual consequent urge to write fiction or a blog. I did do some walking this morning because I knew I didn't really have a time constraint like I usually do if I want to get into blog writing. I walked about halfway to the train before getting an Uber. It was cheap because it wasn't very far. I basically walked until I got to this, racetrack gas station / convenience store and picked up some drink and stuff like that, and then got the Uber. I'm a bit out of shape, but that's not a surprise. Still, it is interesting that by watching how many carbs I eat and keeping them to a minimum, my energy level goes up, and I find myself able to do things. I guess it shouldn't surprise me, since I do have a family history of diabetes and high triglycerides and things, that I'm probably oversensitive to insulin. I did post yesterday's audio thing both on the blog and then as a YouTube video, even though the video part is just a single image of a symbol that I created a long time ago. The interesting thing is that I had planned to use the standard, Microsoft video editing software that came with Windows 10 that I use for simple videos in which I basically was just adding a single image to audio. And I found that that's no longer available, and I was looking around and kind of like being my usual grumpy self and wondering what the hell happened to my video editing software. I guess I thought of it as it's a little silly to be proprietary towards a free bit of software provided by Microsoft, but there it is. I did pay for the computer and I pay for my Windows service as well. Anyway, though, they said that, they have a new service, a free download of an app called Clipchamp, which I keep on wanting to call Clapchimp or Chip Clamp, or the name keeps screwing up my head, and I keep on wanting to do some form of spoonerism or other twisting on it, consciously and unconsciously. Chip clamp sounds interesting. It sounds like, one of those things that holds a bag of potato chips together after you've opened it but haven't eaten the whole thing. Maybe that's a chip clamp. Anyway. But I wanted to say that though I complain frequently about updates and new things really being unnecessary and just being there for cosmetics and them doing an update because, oh my gosh, we have to. This is a significant improvement on the old Microsoft video editing software. Now, I haven't tried any special effects. I haven't actually recorded or done any serious editing on the video, but it's basically like a slightly more user-friendly version of more serious video editing software like DaVinci Resolve that I have and so forth, that I used to edit videos of me playing music and so forth. So give Microsoft its due. This new video editing software seems to be pretty good, and I'm somewhat inclined to play around with it a little bit, and I may do that some this morning just to test it out. See I don't know if you can record directly on it. I would assume that you can. I don't think it's an unreasonable assumption, but maybe you can't. Maybe you can only edit. You can't take videos. You have to use the camera function to do that. If so, that'd be kind of lame. So I don't think it's the case. But we'll see. Maybe you can. All this stuff is just basically to distract me anyway. It would be great if I spent my extra time reading the Sean Carroll, space-time and geometry, or quantum field theory as simply as possible, or maybe get his real textbook on quantum field theory. The same guy who wrote the simply as possible, and also wrote one of the premier texts on the subject. That's a bit pricier, but no pricier than space-time and geometry was, and not as expensive as gravitation was. And I also have Stephen Hawking's textbook that was Euclidean space-time or something like that. It elaborated on some of the interesting ideas that he introduced, or that I first saw in A Brief History of Time, dealing with addressing the structure of space-time in complex space, in which, so he says, things like singularities disappear, and instead, well, they didn't disappear, but it turns out that they are simply the end of a curve. So instead of having a singularity at the beginning of time or at the end of time, like in a black hole, you have a curvature, and it is just as analogous to the end of a curvature on the surface of a sphere. If you're going north on the Earth, once you reach the North Pole, you can't go further north. North stops there. There's no singularity. If you do a projection and reduce the number of dimensions onto a map, it looks like there's a singularity, like there's an edge to the map, like there's a top to the map, after which you fall off or something, but it's not really the case. In reality, you're representing something that's higher dimensional in a smaller dimensional way, and so it looks weird. It seems weird, but it's not. And I think that was his idea that, well, maybe, although the Penrose-Hawking singularity theorems say that the geodesics come to an end at the Big Bang or in the heart of a black hole, and so there literally is no space-time after that, but that maybe that's not so much that they come to an end, is that they just, in complex time, they come to a curve. They reach the furthest point north, after which you can only go south, which I guess would be something equivalent to saying you've reached the end of time, after which you can only go backwards in time and become antimatter, in which case your experience would come to an end no matter what, since our experience involves moving in one direction. Anyway, that's the thought. So that's something that'd be very interesting to read and get more of a serious mathematical insight into, but I don't have the mental energy or will to actually sit down and do that, which is kind of depressing. I'd like to, but I don't. I have nothing better to do with my time, and I'm just tired. And maybe if I could get through a night's sleep on a regular basis, or have, I don't know, an effective antidepressant that didn't give me worse side effects than the disorder, I don't know. Anyway, that's about 10 minutes of raw recording time, and I set myself a limit at that because I don't want to just drag on and on. I've seen too many videos and audios that do that without any good reason. And since I don't have any particular subject to talk about, I'll end this here.